Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Vobes Show. I'm Richard Vobes, and this is another of those Vobes Show things that I do. From a house in Worthing, sitting in my front room, beside my lovely chimney, with the fire blazing, trying to keep myself nice and warm. And you are very welcome to pull up a little seat, have a little sit down, relax, take your shoes off, get your socks out, hang your socks up on the line. Who wants to see those? And just settle yourself back. Relax your shoulders a bit. Go on, give them a bit of a sort of what do you call it when you give them a twist? Not a twist, but you know what I mean. Give them a revolve. That'll do. Revolve your shoulders. Get yourself nice and sorted, and we can get cracking, can't we? Which is nice. I've got this microphone. It's just a little bit too close to me now. Too close for comfort. There we are. This is a bit better. So, how are you? Are you well? What are you up to? And have you got any plans for the weekend? Who knows? Who cares? Who does a thing about it anyway? Let's see if there's anybody out there. I'm live. Yes, people are turning up in their hundreds, which is nice to see. Let's have a look. We've got Anne Osborne. Hello, Anne. Thank you very much, Anne. I got the parking ticket. When I say the parking ticket, what I mean is the thing that you stick up in the window, not actually a ticket. You know, it's not like you've been round my car going, "Oh, I see, Mr. Vobes, you parked your car at the rear of the house. You're not supposed to do that. I'm going to give you a little ticket." No, not that sort of thing. The ticket that you means that when the lovely Julia and I, which the lovely Julia and I are coming to visit you, we can park the car. Probably try not to park on that hill that you live on, because that hill that you live on the top of the hill or halfway up the hill, and the last time I parked like that, the brakes, unfortunately to me, I didn't realise weren't working. The car careered down, right down into that big lake at the bottom, and it took 5 tractors to pull it out. That's absolutely a lie. It took 4. Anyway, so Anne Osborne's there. Andy Joy, hello to you. Paul and Suzanne Watts is there. Cynthia Walder, Stevie Blake, Linda Kane. Hello, Linda Kane. You said I saw a note that you said you were confused. Not quite sure what you were confused about. I think when I launched the podcast, and maybe you were going, "Oh, you've launched a podcast. I'm confused. I'm confused," you said. So maybe you can tell me what your confusion was. Maybe you answered it, and I haven't seen. I haven't been on Facebook very much, actually, today, ladies and gentlemen. Been a bit busy. The lovely Mark English is out there. Hello, Mark. How are you? Mr. Withercue. He doesn't like that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't like that. But he's a lovely bloke. We had such a hoot. Such a hoot, ladies and gentlemen, when we went to Shear in Surrey. Only the other day. Only, in fact, yesterday. How time flies. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Mr. Withercue, what Mark English, I must get it right, has edited together, because I had a few problems with my GoPro 7, unfortunately. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit about that later on. You might be interested. There again, you might not. But if you're thinking of buying a GoPro 7, perhaps this is, you know, a cursory tale to tell you, which will be rather nice. Neil Gardner's there. Hello, Neil, to you. Graham, Andrew Graham says, good evening. Good evening. Cynthia's saying good evening. Hello, Richard, and everyone says thing. When I say thing, I meant Anne. Glenn Johnson. Hello, Glenn. Hello, people. Erica Jordan. Hello, everyone. Erica Jordan's been very concerned about the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi. She's hoping that I don't actually blow up my tank. Actually, I can show you my tank. If you could just bear with me 1 second. I'll just get my tank, because I've got my tank over here. Oh, here it is. Sitting in my front room, funnily enough. There it is. It is a genuine water tank. I've not opened it up. I don't know what's inside it. I don't know how you get in there, actually. It doesn't... Oh, nearly dropped it. This is part of the Esse installation. And the thing about this is, there's no hole. There is no hole... or tap to get the pipe in. So I don't know how we're going to get the water in there. Perhaps it goes in there by magic. Perhaps we have to wave a magic wand, and somehow the water just sort of, you know, goes through the wall. It's like David Copperfield and his twin, where they appear to go through the Great Wall of China. Do you ever see that? Where David Copperfield was one side, and his twin, now I'm not telling you how it was done, or the lookalike was on the other side. And actually, really what happened is he had probably had 2 lookalikes. to be fair. And he said he was going to walk through the Great Wall of China, and then they cut to a wide shot, and you see him walk into this little tent at one side. Well, that wasn't him, obviously. That was his lookalike. And whilst we were watching that, he went behind the camera, got over on a bit of scaffold down the other side, so that he could emerge from the other tent on the other side, little sort of entrance tents, and there he was. And you going, oh no! I remember seeing a David Copperfield. This was a while ago, and he was levitating over Niagara Falls or some old falls, and he had this. He was sitting cross-legged on a tiny little platform, like a bit of what's those things that you. A pallet, like a pallet, and he sat on this thing and he made this thing levitate, and he said, you know, I'm going to make this so that there's no cheating whatsoever. You will see everything because there'll be one camera and you will not be able, anything that happens, you'll see it. We're not going to cut. We will not cut the picture and you will see everything. Well, that's the biggest load of old nonsense that you've ever seen, because the thing that you don't realise, of course, is you think, oh yeah, that's great, you know, you can see all around, the camera never lies, and to a degree it never lies as long as what's in frame stays in frame. And of course what you don't see is what's behind the camera, because if the camera never cuts, you don't see all the mechanics or whatever else that was holding him up, which could have been all sorts of bits and pieces, because you only saw this one view. What you didn't see was all the stuff that was going behind him. So there's a lot of this sort of fakery going on. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto David Copperfield, but it's all very magic. Lovely Erica's been a little bit concerned. She didn't want me to blow up the tank, so I'll try not to blow it up. Mr. Suggett says, rest assured, he says, rest assured, Richard, we will not be blowing up your tank when you start to install it, and it's only on Monday. So that's very exciting. The lovely Henry from Henry's Adventures is here. He says, good evening. Thank you for joining me. I can't really watch because I'm on a train, but hope you all have a good time and a lovely weekend. Happy Black 5 Day. Black 5 Day? Oh, okay. Do you mean Friday, maybe? Maybe Black Friday, I think is what it means. Anyway, have a lovely, safe journey, Henry, on your adventure. Where are you going? That's what we want to know. Where are you up to? You getting ready to do another exciting video? Looking forward to that. Nigel Sadler is there, and Wendy Wakeling. They seem to be holding hands. Andy Dalgleish. Watch a Vobesters. Watch a cocker. Erica Jordan has... I thought Erica Jordan had already done it. Lynn Bussey. Hello, Lynn. Nice to see you. Robert Crozer. Judith Oakley, Fiona Cooper and Anne Evans, Pam Earnshaw, David Keel, Andy Joy, Judith Oakley, all of them. Now, if you're watching, by the way, on the YouTube, if you are watching on the YouTube, well done. You found the channel. It's very nice. We've only got a few subscribers and a few views at the moment, but we have moved the whole caboose into this new domain on YouTube, which of course it's all pre-recorded, so this is not the live show. The live show is actually happening now on Facebook just after 8 p.m. on the Friday, the 23rd of November, as it happens, ladies and gentlemen. 23rd of November is always a good day, the 23rd of November. Well, I mean, it's a good day so far. And it's been a good day for me, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, because I have stuck my little sweep, up the flue. And if you've ever stuck something up your flue and you've got it stuck and you find the end came off, be careful when your end gets stuck up the flue, because that's quite painful. Robert Crosser says, good evening. Vobinator, that's nice. Mark English says, we did have a laugh. We did have a laugh, actually. We had a good, we had a right old hoot. We went to his pub. Thank you very much, by the way, Mark. We went to this pub called the White Horse, which was a bit of a stallion. And it was very nice. It was very nice, but it was all quite expensive, wasn't it? Mark foot the bill, so I shouldn't complain. I'm not complaining, but it seemed a bit expensive because we just wanted perhaps a light snack, and they didn't really do a light snack, which was a shame because it was all like evening food and evening prices, but evening all. Anyway, very nice, and it certainly filled a gap, and it got us out again, and we went clambering up this hill and we found this World War II pillbox. Anyway, the videos will be out. I had problems with my GoPro. We'll talk about that a bit later. Daniel is there. Hello, everybody. Hello, Daniel Horton. Nice to see you. Kushti Phil. Phil says good evening. Everyone's saying good evening. Make a hole, says Glenn Johnson. Oh, you've got to make your own hole. I see. You've got to make... I wanted one that just came with the right fittings on it. Why can't they come with the right, you know, it's like going back to the in the old days. Well, they do it now, don't they? You get a 13 amp plug. But there was a spate of time, I don't know, I think when we first joined the EU, let's not talk about that. When we first joined the EU, suddenly you couldn't have plugs on things, or we were supposed to have plugs. And there was a time when you always had to buy a plug. Do you remember that? You'd buy a radio, and then they'd say, oh, would you like batteries with it? You go, oh yeah, I suppose I better have some batteries. So you buy the radio, that's a tenner or whatever it is, and you go, oh, batteries, that's another 3 or 4 quid. Yeah, I have some batteries. Would you like a plug with it, sir? Oh, does it not come with a plug? Does it not have a plug, a 13 amp plug? Oh no, sir. Would you like one? Yes, so that's another couple of quid. There we are. And then, of course, you know, nobody knew how to put plugs on, did they? I mean, I did, of course, because I grew up doing it. In fact, I bought... here's a funny thing. Not that funny. But I bought a shaver, an electric shaver. It's upstairs. I should have brought it here to show you. But I think you know what an electric shaver is, because you're people of the world. You really are. You get about, don't you? Yeah, all of you. Well, maybe not all of you. Some of you. Most of you get about. You know what an electric shaver is. And you know that they have those 2 prongs. For a minute, I thought, when I opened it up and I got it out, and it was a bit like this microphone, actually. It's a bit like this. And when it came out, I thought to myself, oh, they've sold me an American one because it's got the 2 prongs. And then I remembered that, you know, in hotels and posh people's houses, or most houses, any house other than mine, which is sort of a little bit in the back of beyond in terms of its time zone, is they have these little sockets, don't they? You put the shaver in with the 2 pins, which is a bit weird, really, because I don't have one of those sockets. Anyway, I thought it was an American thing, and I thought, oh, that's a shame. And then I remembered, and I thought, oh, yes, you used to get an adapter, a little plug adapter, and you could plug it in and stick that into a 3-pin socket. Then you could get the electric shaver and, you know, charge up the battery, because it's a battery chargeable one, or use it on the wire. Anyway, that was all very good. And then I thought, well, I haven't got an adapter. I haven't got one of those 2-pin adapters. What am I going to do? And then I remembered what my dad and I used to do when we were back in the day, when I was, you know, a teenager. He ran his own business testing aerials and bits and pieces. So he was into electronics and stuff. But he was a bit laissez-faire when it came to electricity. So he would take those 2 prongs, and he would just bend the prongs a little bit and then thrust them into the plug. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to do that, but you can't just thrust them into the 2 bottom ones. You have to press something into the top one. You know, you've got 3. You've got 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top. If you're in the UK, obviously if you're in a different country, I don't know what you do. So you've got 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. Well, the one at the top releases a flap on the inside to allow the pins on the plug to go in at the bottom, and they're the live and the neutral, you see. So what my dad used to do was get either a screwdriver. He'd ram a screwdriver in the top one, the earth one, or sometimes a matchstick would do it, and then that would open up the flaps, and he would poke wires. So there's no plug on this. Never mind. So he would bare the wires of the thing. He would poke them in, then get another plug and plug that in with the wires underneath. I mean, it was terrible, really, bad influence. But then I learnt that. So you'd go and buy something. So you go and buy that radio, and you go, oh, do you want a plug with it, sir? I said, don't need a plug, do I? Don't need a plug. I don't need a plug. I just strip the wires and stick it into the electrics, and then put another plug from my radiogram, or whatever it was, into that, and that will hold it, you see. Very, very dodgy, really. I'm surprised the house didn't go up in smoke. I really am. But anyway, there we are. That's the story. I don't know how we got into the 3-pin plug and the electric rule, but there we are. Anyway, not to worry. It doesn't matter. Yes, oh yes, of course, so that everything didn't come with plugs. So what I'm saying is, why has this not got the fittings on it? Because now I've got to go and do it all myself, which is a bit of a shame. Mr. Suggett is going to help me, which will be good. Ed Keeley has joined. Hello, Ed. Thank you very much for coming along. Ed Keeley is a very nice man. He runs his own radio business on the internet. And I forget what Ed, what's your, go and have a plug. Have a nice plug. For your radio service. It's a streaming radio service, and he has lots of people, and they all do it. And he said to me, he said, if you would like, and he gave me all the technical spec, which of course I've forgotten now. It's in my messages on Facebook. He said, if you would like to have your own broadcasting show streaming to the world, anybody who tunes in, you're very welcome. And he set me up with this bandwidth. I can have up to something like 1,000 listeners. 1,000, like I'd ever get 1,000 listeners. It's probably only 3 people who'd listen to me. Anyway, he set that up. I have yet to work out. I need to get the software and, you know, get back in the studio and think when I would broadcast and how would you attract an audience to get them to listen to you live. Daniel says, hi, Richard, it's me, Daniel. Yes, I did say hello to you, Daniel. I now know when Rachel Horton comes up, it's not Rachel at all. It's you, Daniel. I realise that. Lynn Bussey says, love. Are you in love, Lynn? Are you in love? It's so nice. What do we got here? I know people are writing things. Mark English, 23rd of November. Happy 55th birthday for Doctor Who. Oh, Doctor... Now, don't talk about Doctor Who. All I've seen, ladies and gentlemen, on my timeline, as far as YouTube is concerned, is loads of Doctor Who. Now, I don't watch Doctor. I don't have a television. I do not have a well, actually, that's a bit of a lie. I do have a television buried in the studio somewhere. I don't have an aerial for it. I don't have a television service. I'm not on Sky. I'm not on anything like that. I suppose I could get a Chromecast, couldn't I? And then I could watch things like YouTube. But I don't watch terrestrial television. Let's put it like that. Anyway, so I never watch... I don't watch Doctor Who, not since Eccleston came along. Not Bernie Eccleston, whatever his name was, who started up this new series, which I thought had only been going for a couple of years, but I understand that, you know, we've had a number of doctors since then, and now we've got Jodie Fisher, somebody, anyway, whoever it is, the lady doctor, the first lady doctor out there. And all I've seen on YouTube, though, coming up, and I think, why am I seeing this? All this stuff about, I think, do you know what it is? I think it's Mark English's fault. We did a video. We did a video in, can't even remember not Alton. We did a video in a nice town, didn't we, where we went looking for the statues that came alive on the way back from Avebury. And I made about that, and we put references to Doctor Who because it was Mark was showing me this Doctor Who location. And of course, consequently, now, of course, I'm being bothered by Doctor Who stuff. But anyway, the point is, everyone's saying, oh, Doctor Who, all the ratings are going down, the storylines are all politically correct. Well, it doesn't surprise me at all that the storylines are all politically correct, because it does seem that everything on the BBC nowadays is incredibly politically correct. And, of course, the media seems to be, in my eyes, focusing on telling us what we are supposed to think. Everybody's telling us how we are supposed to think. And the things that we used to laugh at and the things that we used to joke about, oh, no, you can't laugh at that anymore. Oh, no, because that somebody somewhere is disadvantaged by that. Somebody somewhere will be upset. Somebody somewhere will be outraged. And you can go to prison if you do that. So we have to be politically correct all the time. Oh, my God, what kind of... Do you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you how this has worked out. This has worked out because actually we no longer really have anything to worry about anymore. You know, we've more or less worked out that we can feed the world. We've more or less worked out that we can have every modern bit of technology. We can have robots giving us porridge in the morning if we want to. We have very little to do anymore. We go off and we go to work as such, and we sit on our bums and we sit there with a computer doing all this nonsense. And I say we, I mean obviously not me, but a lot of people do that. And it seems like we've got nothing to worry about anymore. Back in the old days when, you'd worry whether you were going to, one glass of water could be polluted and could be, your one gulp would kill you. We don't have to worry about that now because all the water is sterilised and it's got fluorine in, some Florida. No, not Florida. It's got that tooth decaying malarkey, or it used to. Maybe anyway, whatever it's got in it in it. And everything. We don't have to worry. So we have nothing to worry about. So things have been invented for us to worry about. Oh, now we've got to be PC. Oh, yeah, we mustn't upset anybody. Mustn't offend anybody. We have to worry about, before it was the ozone layer. Now it's this man-made global warming. Now that's been proved that actually it's not man-made global warming. It's just global warming. Oh, my God. And of course... that's all hokum. I know a lot of people believe it, and people have swallowed that hook, line and sinker because we've got to have something to worry about. In the past, there was religion. We had religion. That was enough to get people to be worried, wasn't it? People could be, oh, God would come along and clap us down. Well, thanks to Charles Darwin and the subsequent lumber of other people, like, who was the bloke who wrote the God thing? Richard Dawkins, that's the bloke. Dawkins, yeah, say Darwin, Dawkins, there's a link there, isn't there? And other people, and they've said, basically, there is no no God. And out. I'm not. You may have your own views. Of course, this is what they said, and they said it's all about the selection, survival of the fittest. It's evolution and all of that. So we basically now no longer have to fear God. He's not going to come down in a bolt of thunder and destroy us all. So we have nothing to worry about. So we invent things, because otherwise we would it would be tyranny, wouldn't it? It'd be tyranny everywhere if we didn't have something to worry about. So we've invented all these sort of things, and I'm not surprised. And I'm surprised that people all stressed out by this, because basically life is pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty. You can sit down of an evening and get your laptop or your phone out, or your tablet, and you can sit some ranting bald bloke who doesn't know what he's talking about, who happens to be living in Worthing, and you can go, oh, look at him, he's a funny old fella, isn't he? I wish we didn't have to watch him. But what else would we do? We'd be watching Doctor Who or some nonsense. So anyway, so that was I don't suppose anybody's actually watching now. I'm not surprised. Having a good rant. Oh yes, Altborn. That's right. Thanks very much. Nikki Jess is there. Hello, Nikki. You were all upset earlier in the week. I saw you post something in there. I didn't quite know what that. I thought maybe Mark and you had split up. I didn't want to say anything. I thought, oh my God, no, it's going to be terrible if you and Mark have split up. It'd be suicidal. Mark would have maybe flown his drone into a brick wall in desperation and tears and things, and there's you up in London with all that pollution and man-made trains running past. Did you know they've got man-made trains going? Yeah, they are. So I thought, oh, I better not put anything just in case, because I will put my foot in it if I say something. So that's the way it is. Glenn says, go Richard, I'm with him on this. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. It's very nice of you. I'm getting microchipped so my employers know. Well, it wouldn't be at all surprised. We've all got... You don't need to. If you've got one of these things, you're as good as microchipped, aren't you? Because let's face it, you turn it off, but you don't know if it's really off, do you? Unless you actually pull the battery out. And then you don't know if you've actually pulled the battery out. Maybe there's another battery in it. We don't know how things work anymore. Back in the day, when I was a young lad, and in the Stone Age days, when it used to be not an un-PC thing to do. You were quite within your rights to drag a woman along by her hair back in those days, because you can't do that now. It's very PC. So, and because back in those days when we had the patriarchy and we were allowed to do that, and they were allowed to sort of bash us on the head and tell us to go off and catch a bison or something, whilst they sat at home suckling babies and having a nice time, having a gossip over the clothesline of various mammoth hair things, and all of that kind of stuff, sitting there going, let's do some wall painting. When life was simpler, and you had a typewriter or a record player, or you had a valve radio, you could see how things worked. You could actually take something apart. You could buy a Haynes manual and strip your car down into all its subsequent parts, and you could put it all back together again, bar leaving a few nuts that you couldn't quite remember where it was. There were things like Airfix, wasn't there? So you could make model aeroplanes, and actually it all made sense to you. I'm sure there's those sort of things now, but now most of the technology, it's magic. It's this slab of something that does these amazing things, but you don't know what's going on in them. You don't know who's watching you. Do you know? I keep getting these emails, ladies and gentlemen. I keep getting these emails from, I've put some software on your computer and I've been watching you. You've been going to porn sites, haven't you? And we know your password. I've been getting these stupid emails, and they say, oh, you visited a porn site the other day, and not only that did you, it interacted our software, and we've taken pictures from your computer using your webcam of you pleasuring yourself, and what if you don't pay us through Bitcoin, we're going to send these snapshots of this to all your friends. How embarrassing would that be? It says, So, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, all right, so maybe I did go and visit a naughty... I'm a single bloke, maybe, of an evening when there's nothing to do, not for me, I'm so busy. But if I'm just saying it, I'm not saying I did, but I'm just saying if I had been to one of those... It's very interesting because what they don't realise, that my office machine, which is up where I do any sort of... looking at interesting sites, shall we put it like that, doesn't have a webcam. There is no webcam. I don't do it on my phone. And even if I was doing anything interesting, I'm not exactly going to be doing it like this so you could see to the bits that they refer to. These people are completely mad. They are mad. But what they do, very clever, what they do is they get into that worry factor, don't they? You go, oh, maybe I did by mistake. Maybe they did catch me. Maybe they... And you know, there'll be vulnerable people out there who do that and will be thinking, oh, my God, I've got pictures of... Well, if there are pictures of me pleasuring myself, send them out. Send them out. They can be no worse, ladies and gentlemen. They can be no worse than the rubbish that I put out every day on the Bald Explorer and anywhere else. Pictures of me with silly expressions on my face. I do that every day. It's part of my business. If you get blackmailed by any of that, sod it. Let them do it. What's the worst that can happen? People will go, oh, he's only human, isn't he? He's only human. That's my feeling on that. A lot of people talking to themselves. Nikki Jess says, want Richard... Hang on, where did it go? Want Richard, I don't know about that man makes in London. Nikki Jess, not sure what you mean. I know your English isn't brilliant, but want Richard, I don't know about that man makes in London. That's very hard to interpret, and maybe somebody can just put that into English for me. Steve Pilford says, Rockwell always felt like someone was watching him. Rockwell was, yeah, Rockwell. Is that the... No, I thought you meant Rockford then. I thought you were talking about the Rockford Files. Daniel says, Richard, I will try and get the calendar to you before Christmas. Amazing show tonight. It is an amazing show, actually, ladies and gentlemen. It is. I'm amazed I'm doing it. That's how amazing it is. Kushti Phil said, thanks if you get the calendar to me. Is this one of those naughty calendars with the calendar girls with the extremely interesting hats? Very nice. I like those ones where, you know, you've got people in interesting hats. It's very nice. Kushti Phil said, had a new girl start at work a couple of years back. I'm not good at remembering names, and her name was Helen. I said, to remember your name, I'm going to pretend your surname is Back. Helen Back. Mega offended. That, I mean, you know, goodness sake, that's exactly my point. There you are going, and the old association and with extreme things has been proved by people like Harry Lorraine, who wrote a book, How to Develop a Superpowered Memory. If anyone wants to buy it, check it out on Google. Do it through my site if you can, because then I'll get the 10p or whatever it is. How to Develop a Superpower Memory by Harry Lorraine will tell you, and there's many of them others, will tell you that if you have these exaggerated associations that you make, so Helen Back is great, because then you'll go, oh yeah, Helen Back, yeah, of course, Helen, that's your name. And then you'll remember it, and then soon you won't need the association of the Helen Back, because you'll just know that her name is Helen. But to be offended by that, I mean, but then let them be offended. That's what I say. It's their right to be offended, just as it's your right to be offensive. I mean, it's the world is going bonkers because they've got nothing to worry about. You see, nothing to worry about. When you're actually freezing to death and you've got not these first world problems. Then this is the snack. Ed Keeley says you're starting that YouTube channel for that content. When you say that, are you starting your new YouTube channel for that content? No. Not when you say that content. No. I don't think it'd get past YouTube, would it? Hang on, I seem to have lost a few things. Andy Joy says, LOL, don't matter. Everyone at some point in their life pleasures themselves and visits a porn site. There you go. I mean, you know, maybe some people don't. Maybe, you know, the Queen may not have. I mean, it would be extraordinary. They were the people that, you know, if you were one of these blackmailers, they were the ones you want to go after somebody who, not just an ordinary Joe like me and the rest of the population. You want to go after somebody like the Queen and see if you can get those picked. Because, mind you, no one would believe it. So there we go. Nikki Jess says, sorry, my English not good, Richard. No, I appreciate that. And most of the time I do try to interpret what you say, Nikki. I do try, but I had no idea what you were talking about then. Steve Pilfold says, not necessarily lying, but if 5% of something is affected by one thing, then you can write a report on that 5%. Yeah, there you go. Shirley, I don't know what that was referring to, but it was very good. Thanks, Steve. No, it is one of Oh, it's a Worthing calendar. Oh, how lovely. Lovely. What a lovely... I bet it's got the pier in it. If it's got the pier in it, I'll have it. If it hasn't got the pier in it, I don't want it. I'm sure it's got... I better have the pier in it now. If it hasn't got the pier in it, just draw a little picture of the pier in the background and I'll be happy. Linda Kane says, I really think you're suited... I think you suited a moustache... Do you know, earlier today on Instagram, whatever it's called, I put a thing. I was in the kitchen I was going up the chimney, trying to clear my chimney in the kitchen because my Esse is arriving, and I did this video. And then somebody, was it you, Linda Kane? Somebody, I think it was you, Linda Kane. Somebody said, here, Richard, you don't half look like Hitler. And I thought, oh, that's a name that you can't say. It's very much associated with the alt-right these days. I thought that's charming. You know, couldn't I have looked like Charlie Chaplin? He had or Oliver Hardy. There are nicer people that you can think of. I mean, for one thing, I don't actually have any hair, but it did look there. Look, I had a moustache or a moustache, depending on how you want to pronounce the word. But really? Hitler, of all people? Hitler? Me? Really? Are you sure? I mean, there's, Oliver Hardy would have been nice. That would have been lovely. There's plenty of people with moustaches that you could have thought of. But it's my right to be offended and your right to be offensive. So we're still friends. Difference of opinion, that's all it is. I didn't take any offence, actually. I had a good chuckle, to be honest with you. So that's all right. Mark English, just because you are offended doesn't mean that you're right. I completely agree. That's it. It's exactly what I'm saying. Steve Pilford says, everyone at work has a nickname. It's not optional. And that's a good idea, isn't it? If you make that obligatory, say that's the rule. And not only that, you don't get to choose it. And if you don't get to choose it, you can't be offended because that's how we operate. That's how it should be. Glenn Johnson, can you imagine being in a punk band and trying to be offensive and sell records? Snowflake Generation, my goodness, can you imagine? What was his name? Sid Snot and all of those. Imagine having to be, I mean, it must be a nightmare. What, Glenn, do you sing about these days? Are you singing, the acorns on the trees, the acorns are on the trees, they look great, they look nice, they look lovely, they look nice, yeah, the acorns are on the trees? I mean, do you have to really keep it very mellow? Or just because you've got the Mohican haircut and but actually you're singing about, sort of, the grass is very green, the grass is very green, 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 the grass is very green, and I would never be mean, because I'm a very nice person, really. Now, I'm not very good, I can't even think of a punk song, because I'd never listened to it. The lovely Julia is out there. She says, evening all. I hope everyone is behaving. We are all behaving, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely Julia, we're all behaving. Macintosh Pam has arrived. And so, as I said, the lovely Julia, which is great. Linda Kane says, I thought it but didn't say it. Oh, right. OK, so it wasn't you. Somebody said I look like Hitler. I can't remember who it was. Somebody. How is your kitchen going? Says Daniel, changing the subject. It's no, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. It's actually bolted. Do you know the one thing that I find quite funny when people say, "Oh, Hilda, I'm getting a new kitchen. Are you? Oh, yes, I'm getting it." And they don't mean they're getting a new kitchen. To me, the kitchen is the name of the room. The room. That, the space that you cook in, that's the kitchen. What they actually mean is they're getting new tables and benches and cupboards and worktops and cookers and that's what they mean. But to me, when they say, oh, I'm getting a new kitchen, I think, oh, where are you going to put it? You haven't got much space, have you? Are you going to extend the house in some way and add a new room? What are you going to do with the old kitchen? Move all the inside, the workspace and all? That's what I think when people say that. But they go, no, Richard, you're being silly. No, of course I mean that. Oh, I'm getting a new kitchen. And I'm getting a new bathroom. Well, you've got a bathroom. It's all a bit old. I'm going to get a new one. Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to put it? Go on. Where are you going to put it then? You going up in the roof? Is it going up in the... No, it's going in the bathroom. What do you mean? Your new bathroom's going in the bathroom? So you're going to have two bathrooms? No, I'm just getting a new bathroom. No, you mean you're going to get what? New bath, new sink, new floor, new cupboards, new whatever else you have in a towel rack? somewhere to hang the smalls of the evening, one of them things that go round you when you're in the bath, so that you can get those so someone can come up with a big sharp knife and do all that. Or perhaps you've got one of those wet rooms, one of those big wet rooms with massive great shower heads. Maybe you've got one of those. No, I'm just getting a new bathroom. It confuses me when they talk about the room and then the dressing. Anyway, that's just another way. How is my kitchen going? Daniel asks. It's how is it proceeding? It is proceeding very nicely. I was going to do some tiling. I thought I might do some tiling tonight, and then I thought, you know what? I'm not. That's what I thought. It was too cold. It was too cold, and I'm going to do it first thing in the morning. I will do some stuff on Instagram, and you can see how it goes up. Glenn Johnson says Richard isn't. Okay, fair dues. I know sometimes I lose the thread, and then I read your comment and I think, oh, I can't remember what that refers to. So well, I couldn't even begin to explain what's happened. Oh yes, he's trying to tell Julia that so much has happened in today's show. Andy Joy, problem nowadays, if you're not politically correct, you're the black sheep. Do you know what? I thought about this. If everyone, you see, it's that massive numbers thing. If everybody just stuck to being not PC, people would have to accept it. You know, it's like when people are, you can mention, people would say, if you talked about immigration, if you thought, oh, there's a problem with immigration, all these immigrants coming over, all these immigrants, all of them, they're all coming, they go, you can't say that's racist. What do you mean it's racist? It's not racist to talk about people who immigrate. I haven't actually mentioned their race. I haven't denigrated them. I've not said anything bad about them. I've just said, look at all these immigrants that are migrating. I mean, you know, you can just look at them and they are migrating. There's nothing wrong with that. But people go, oh, no, you're racist, aren't you? You're racist. And so people go, oh, God, we mustn't be called like the police. You know, the police let all those poor children in those different areas, you know, like up north and wherever, where they were, Rotherham and all around there, where they're being abused. They let those children, because they didn't want to be called racist. This is the police, for goodness sake. They don't, oh, no, don't call us racist. No, I don't know why I'm making it sort of like, you know, an old-fashioned camp expression, because you probably can't, I suppose that's, you know, upsetting now, camp people, especially those people who've got camp coffee. Oh, 1 spoon or 2. But, you know, the police, they don't want to be called racist, and so therefore, you know, we won't interfere, because obviously they're not of the indigenous. One has to be so careful, because we think we live in a world of free speech, and of course we don't, because there's people like whoever's running YouTube and Facebook and all these people going, oh yes, I see, you're talking slightly risque stuff, we'll just cancel your channel. Off he goes. So I'm surprised I'm still broadcasting, to be honest with you. Anyway, I'm just pointing it out. Hi Julia, it's crazy tonight, says Andy Dagler. It is crazy. He's got crazy arms again. Oh yes, my arms. It's like Magnus Pike. Magnus Pike. Remember Magnus Pike, whose arms were too loud for the deaf? Yeah, that's me. Laura Riddle, I will have some of what he's on. Well, you've got to wake up. Oh dear, it's just caught up on replies. Oh, here we go. Steve Pilford says, hate to break it to you, but I think it's accepted parlance to say, I'm getting a new kitchen. Please don't be offended by that fact. It's my right to be offended. What? That's the thing. That's the thing. Here, I've never understood when somebody says, you know, whatever it is, and they say, oh, you're racist, just to carry on with that debacle for the moment. Why you can't go, oh, I'm offended. I'm offended. You've offended me. I'm offended by your saying that I'm a racist. So therefore, that's hate speech. You can't say I'm a racist because that's hate speech. And I'm going to report you to the police. No, you can't because you're a racist. It's like, well, no, one thing doesn't trump the other. It really doesn't. Don't do a Donald on me. So there was Simon Brown has joined. We have to have a bit of decorum when Simon Brown comes in, because she thinks, I think that GNR or Metallica covered it. They're talking. Paul Hine, hello Paul, lovely to see you. Robert Crosser, I mentioned that earlier. Magnus Pike. There we go. So that's it. So let me tell you about the kitchen whilst we've got a few moments of absolute silence here, or the brain has decided just to calm down a little bit. So I was cleaning. I don't know whether you saw the Instagram thing, but on the Instagram, I put this thing about cleaning out the chimney. I've opened it up. I've got this box, you see, this little box above where the Esse stove is going to go, and I broke into it. and I pushed up. The lovely Julia came round to help, and we were pushing up the you know, the chimney cleaning brushes. It's got that funny brush thing that, you know, that's like that, isn't it? On a stick. And I shoved that up there like this, and then I've got the next stick, and you screw it in, and we stick that up like that. Up it goes. Up there like that. It was great fun. We did several of those. Then we came to an abrupt stop. Bang. Oh. Bang, bang. And I said, it should be coming out the chimney pot at this point. Bang, bang. And of course, a lot of soot and rubble and dust and bricks and stones and odd legs of people who'd been left in there, you know, Victorian boys and girls who'd climbed up the chimney in the past. They all came down. We caught those in a big bag. I said, you know what, I'm going to have to go up onto the roof. So I did. I went up onto the roof, got the ladder out, put that up, climbed up. Julia was going, oh my God, are you going to be all right up there? I don't want to be responsible if you fall. I said, don't worry, I'll be fine. I was as nervous as hell because we're only having one eye, you see. You can't quite see where your foot goes. And I said, just if I fall, catch me. She said, you're joking, aren't you? Anyway, I climbed up and I removed on the top where I'd sealed it from years and years ago when we had a Rayburn. I'd put a big slab on the top of the chimney pot to stop the rain and to stop, in particular, the seagulls from going in and nesting. So I took that off. And I said, all right, Julia, go back downstairs, get hold of the stick and bring it up, see if it will now come up. And it did. The stick came up like this, but there was no brush on the end. I went, oh, where's the brush has fallen off. And I thought, oh no, the brush is going to be stuck halfway up the chimney. That's going to be a nightmare. Can't light me Esse with the brush halfway up the chimney. The smoke will get clogged up. It'll all come down. We're all going to get smoked out. We'll all die in a horrible, agonising carbon dioxide death, or words to that effect. So we couldn't do that. So we pulled the thing down, separated it, managed to get a torch and look, and we could see where it was. There it is. Look, there it is. My son Billy he's no longer. He's 23. He's no longer small enough to climb up. I said, Julia, you'll have to go and get your son out of school. Go and get him out of school and get him to climb up the chimney. But she said, no, he's too big as well. I think that's true. But we saw it, so we managed to get a piece of... I had a piece of metal with a funny little hook type thing on it. And after about half an hour prodding and prodding, holding the torch and getting a whole load of gunk falling down into my one eye, ladies and gentlemen, and a face that looks like Hitler at the end of it, apparently, according to some... we managed to get the brush out. And then beyond the brush was what, bizarrely, was a plastic bag full of polystyrene that someone, probably me actually, had bunged up. I think I'd done that to stop the rain coming in, and I don't know why. But anyway, pulled it out. Chimney looks as clean as a whistle. You could look right up, see daylight. Lovely, very lovely. So now just got to stick some tiles down. Still got a bit of polyfilling to do where I've got the raw plugs out. So tomorrow, get those tiles on. It's going to look great. Let's have a look at the comments here. See what you're talking about. So John Berger says, don't say Trump. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about, I'm just saying, you know, Trump. It's an old, like the game, you know, when one card trumps another. Steve Pilford says, but you aren't talking about the kitchen. You're talking about the chimney. And he's offended. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but it's your right to be offended. Be offended, Steve. Be offended by the fact that I'm talking about the chimney. Glenn Johnson says, hello. Hello, Glenn. Daniel says, I bet you've got an awesome view of Worthing. Yeah, well, I've got some sort of view of Worthing looking up my chimney. Oh, when I was on the roof. Yeah, I get, you know, it's a bit like the beginning of Coronation Street. You get all those rooftops on these Victorian terrace houses that I live in. Steve Pilfold says, when we moved in, we got a chimney sweep because, like all houses from 1987, we have a chimney. Now, that's nice. It's not like it used to be, smoke tests and all sorts. Do you know, when we moved in here in 28 years ago, 1991, we moved here. I've been in this house, in this spot, since 1991. We got a chimney sweep to come in because there was no heating at all. Hang on a minute. There's a bit of radio silence. I've got to put a log on now. La 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 la. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. There we go. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, you might not think it's funny. When we moved in 1991, we had these. The whole house, it had been rented out, and there was people had smoked. And the ceilings was yellow and horrible. There was this carpet, this awful brown, cheap, nasty brown carpet that had gone throughout with a rubber back and had perished. We got rid of all of that. And then there were these old-fashioned, these must have come from the 70s, these little box-like gas, independent gas heaters in each room. So you could, you know, it's a good idea because you could heat each room, but they weren't very efficient. A couple of them didn't work. And one of them leaked. And then we had this gopping 1970s gas fire here with the bricks around. It looked awful. We pulled that out. And as we pulled it out, we revealed, as you can see behind here, the fireplace. And we said, oh, do you know what we'll do? We'll have a grate. And we'll have logs burning in there. All this was covered in plaster. So we decided we'd strip off the plaster. We stripped off the plaster. And exposed the brickwork, and it's, you know, it's the best thing we ever did because it's such a lovely chimney. It's the best feature of my house, really. And anyway, we got a grate in there. Bought a grate for about 60 quid, as I remember, from Bunce's, and we lit this thing, and we sat there on a cold December day, shivering away, not realising all the heat was going up the chimney, all going up the chimney. So we thought, oh, I know what it is. We need to sweep the chimney, don't we? That's what we thought the problem was. We got in a professional chimney sweep, and he came in. I think he swept the chimney, and that was fine. And he said, no. He said, he said, all the heat will go up the chimney. Unless you have a metal plate at the back and it's angled in such a way, all the heat's just because heat rises, you see. He said, what you need is a nice wood burner. And we were going, oh, yeah, good idea. So we went out and bought a cheapish wood burner for about 150, 200 and something. It was 1991. Bought this wood burner. It was a pot belly wood burner. And we plumbed it in. I plumbed it in myself. I looked, you know, knew how to do it. I think it came with instructions, actually. Came with instructions. And you had a flue. And that's right, I got the chimney sweep to come back. At some point, anyway, I got a chimney sweep to come back. And he came back and he said, oh, no, sorry, mate, I can't sweep your chimney now. I said, what do you mean? Not if you put... No, that's right, because when we put the burner, he said, no, if you plumb that in yourself, I can't sweep your chimney. I said, why? He said, well, I can't give you a certificate to show that I've swept the chimney and the chimney is in a first-class condition. Because you have to have a metal insides now, building regulations and all that. And I said, what? Wait, when the Victorians built this house, they didn't. Oh, well, it's all changed now. No, you can't. I can't give you a thing. So anyway, I plumbed it in myself, and it's been fine for 20 whatever years. I've had this. I've had a fire in here for all that time. No problem whatsoever. Sweep the chimney. That's why I bought my own brushes, you see. Sweep the chimney, have a look at it, no problem at all. We had a Rayburn out there in the kitchen. Same thing, I plumbed that in, no problem at all. Looks very nice. Then we did get rid of the Rayburn because it fell to bits. It was about third hand. So anyway, that was the story I was going to tell you, and I've just told it to you. Now let's have a look. Mr. Suggett. Hello, Mr. Suggett. Lovely to see you. Thanks for joining me. Golly, it's 10:02 already. Where does the time go? An hour of absolute nonsense passes my lips, and people have gathered round like very nice devoted fans, which is lovely to see. Thank you so much. John Berger says here, hey, install a camera obscura in the chimney, look around the town on the top of the stove. Yeah, that would be a good idea. I know what you mean. He also says, by Trump as a verb, you silly person. Yes, thanks. Steve Pilford says, remember when you do the chimney to rotate the poles in the way to tighten the brush's head. Yes, I do make sure they're very well tightened, and I don't do them back the opposite way in case you don't want to lose the brush and the stick up there. It'd be an impossibility to get that out, really, not without some sort of anchor thing. But the brush came off because it was so old. Where it attached to the pole, It was obviously glued in, or it was a tight fit, but the actual shroud that fitted to it had split. And because it was old, it was like 20-something years old. So I'm going to have to go and buy a new one. Although was it Mr. Suggett says he's got one I can borrow? But I do need to buy one. I've got to clean another thing. I bet you've got an... Oh, you read that. Yeah. Remember when you do the chimney... read that. One eye is better than no eye. Be grateful. Yeah, no, I am grateful. Thank you. I am very grateful. If I didn't know better, I'd never guess you were a cyclops. Says, I am. That's right. I am a bit of a cyclops. Richard Suggett saying he's sorry he's late. We're just whizzing through these. Steve Pilford says, my brother pulled the grotty carpet up when they moved and found a lovely parquet floor under it. The things people cover up. It's very true. People do. It's amazing what people cover up. It's amazing what people throw out as well. You know, they throw out some amazing bits of pieces. And then the stuff that they go to IKEA or some other modern place and put in, you know, some cheap, nasty tat and instead of some fantastic, you know, ancient, nice furniture. Matthew Holdsworth has arrived. Hello, Matthew. Lovely to see you. Laura Riddle says, please can you say hello to Joe? He can't watch it live tonight, so we'll watch it tomorrow. Hello, Joe. I hope you're well and that you managed to watch it. I'm so sorry you couldn't watch it tonight, but lovely to have you out there, Joe, on the Vobes show. Don't forget, if you are watching it back, the Vobes show has moved to a YouTube channel of its own. At the moment, it doesn't have youtube.com/The Vobes show. I need to fix that. At the moment, it's just a series of numbers. But I'll put the link at the bottom of this just so that you know. But it's no longer on the Bald Explorer site, just so you know. Robert Crosser is going, gallery, gallery, gallery. What about the gallery? Gallery. We don't have a gallery anymore in the Vobes show. Don't despair. We're still... Let me just explain. The lovely Julia and I have thrashed it out. We have thrashed it out. And then we discussed something. We've decided, well, I've decided really, but what we're going to do is have a separate video, which is the best of the gallery and the Vobing reports. So people like Kevin Hall who've sent in some Vobing reports, we're going to shove that in its own little special video, which will go on the Bald Explorer Facebook group page and on the Bald Explorer YouTube channel. It will be its own little video. Julia and I will present it. We'll go. That's why when you post pictures, we would like you to put a little bit more information so that when we pull out the pictures, we can actually have, there's a bit of a story. So that this time, instead of just putting one picture up, we can put a number of them up. So let's supposing you went on the Bluebell Railway, for example, and there's a picture of one of the trains, and there's a picture of you driving it, then there's a picture of you tying your wife to it, the train, there's a picture of the train going over and, you know, blood squirting everywhere, and then there's a picture of the police shackling you up and taking you. So you've got a nice little story, and you've put that up on the group, and everybody's enjoyed it. We might take a couple of those and then tell a bit of the story for those, because you know how it is on a timeline. You don't always have time to see everything. We will go in there. The lovely Julia will mainly be responsible for this. She doesn't know this yet, I'm just telling her, because she loves doing that. She loves going. She'll find the pictures, collate them together, and then we'll sit here and we'll present it. We'll show the pictures and tell the story a little bit about it, bung in a Vobing report. And of course, the aim then is to try and encourage people to do more of those Vobing reports, or to get out with their phone and just like people do on Instagram and just say, hello, Richard and Julia, I'm out filming at so-and-so, or I'm out walking at so-and-so, or I visited such and such, or I'm just about to tie my wife to the tracks of the Bluebell Railway. Anyway, you know, and they can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. You send them in and we put them into this new little video, which will be the best of the Bald Explorer group. It'll have a snazzier title than that. Oh, yes, it'll be much more snazzy. Let me think. It'll be more like, these are the photos that we managed to pull out, which we thought were reasonably good from the Bald Explorer group, which is part of the Bald Explorer, you know, a nice snappy title like that. But that's where the gallery will be. The Vobes show, as is really now me and a guest, or me on my own and me or whatever, just having a chat with you and being a bit raucous, a bit silly, a bit mad. It's completely separate from the Bald Explorer. I can refer to the Bald Explorer, but the Bald Explorer won't really be referring to me. But occasionally, ladies and gentlemen, occasionally Bald Explorer will do its own lives, which will be a bit more focused on a subject and a serious thing, and that will be on the Bald Explorer page. Have I made myself clear? If not, request that I explain it to you again. Write on the back of a £50 note and send it in, and it'll be good. Dean says the church in Biddenden has now lost its poppies. Oh, has it? Well, it doesn't surprise me. They don't last very long, do they? There's very tokenism, isn't it? They stick their poppies out for a couple of weeks, these people, and, up and down the countryside. I think they should have had these poppies out there for the whole year of the 100th year. The whole year they should have had them up there. So that, because, blink and you miss it. Maybe that's a bit harsh. Glenn Johnson says, get choosing your tracks Friday night, no pub after the show party. Get choosing your tracks Friday night, no pub after show. Oh, right, yeah, there we are. What tracks are you going to be singing, Glenn? Baldy Epics. That's good. I like that. Baldy Epics. Steve Pilford says, I went down to the controversial pond today. Oh, yes. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've remember if you were watching the last Vobes show, we had some terrific news about the pond at the village where the lovely Steve Pilford lives. And there was being consternation, ladies and gentlemen, absolute consternation between the villagers and the council of villagers, or the Pond Watch group, the Pond Watch group, PWG, isn't it? The PWG group have been there, and there's all sorts of things about whether it should be drained. Is there enough water in there? What about the wildlife? Should the council do it? We had all that. So let's get the update from Steve Pilford, and we want that. I want a continual update. In fact, Steve, what would be great is if you could nip down to the pond, perhaps for the Monday show. If you could have some video that we could play in of the pond, if there's anything on there like a duck or anything that visits there. If there's any water in the pond, it would be good. We want to see this pond. It would be great. Send a picture to richard@vobes.com. He says, I went down to the controversial pond today with my camera. Oh, yes, one step ahead already, you see. So now I don't know if that's the Vobes show or the Bald Explorer feature video or Vobing report. Well, as it's become a controversial feature, and I think it is of national importance, global importance, I think that sort of thing, based on what you've told us, and it's an ongoing report that we're particularly interested in, that should be for the Vobes show. You can put a picture up on there and say, here's my pond, isn't it nice? You can put that on the Bald Explorer. But when it's of such national importance, that you've got the PWG peering around and poking about with their measuring sticks and their test tubes testing the water and, all of that. And the twitchers who are there in the reeds peering out. And you've probably got snorkelers underneath making sure that there are liver-spotted, what do you call newts? There we are. Lesser crested spotted newts, or whatever the things are. I think that should come to the Vobes show as a special report. Super clips. Oh, yes, that's good. I like that. Vobes show, Bald Explorer super clips, which will be good. Will there be a Monday show, says Richard Suggett? Well, it really depends on how we get. The Monday show will either be an interesting show from here, or it will be Madcap show from Richard and me installing the Esse. But it would be lovely if we've got it done by 8 o'clock on Monday, that we can then present a show from the kitchen with the Esse report. So if not, I'll let you know. If we both argued, if we've killed each other, if the thing's blown up in our face, if we've done terrible things, then I'll leave a message to say we ain't doing it. So that I think that will be what that is. I'll turn it into a Vobes show then, says Steve Pilford. We want to know. I think this is a story that's bigger than Brexit. I think, Theresa May will probably have to come down and write it into her new brief to make sure that it's going to happen, that we correct all the issues in the pond. I think that's very much put it. You should do it on Monday and Wednesday show. Yes, absolutely. Oh, there was a chemical analysis of the water done in September. I want to know all about the chemicals. Exactly what chemicals they've been dumping in the pond, and what the benefit is to the society as a whole. I want to know all about that. Mr. Suggett says he'll work his hardest. There's no pressure at all, so that's absolutely brilliant. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is. Look at that, to the minute. We must draw this to a conclusion. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit mad, but then I want to keep the Vobe show with its energy high and its importance on the extremes of nuttiness. So it's just a conversation with you and I. And the other thing is, I don't know, I just mentioned this before I go. The Bald Explorer has launched a podcast. I don't know if you noticed that. I've noticed it. It's on Anchor FM, anchor.fm, I think it is, it's either forward slash Bald Explorer, not the Bald Explorer. It's Bald Explorer because it's B will be higher in the rankings, you see. If I put T for the, it'll be lower in the rankings. But also went through my mind, because this is a nutty show with lots of conversation, I might strip the audio out of this and turn this also into a podcast. And stick it on there. You never know. Some people may never want to watch it, never find it on YouTube, but they find the podcast on YouTunes. YouTunes. That's an interesting one. Yeah, there's YouTunes. No, iTunes. The one iTunes in my case, the Vobie one iTunes. And I might turn this into a podcast, doing everything that I can to get the word out. So maybe that's a good idea. So there we go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that's all good. Thanks to Anne Osborne, who says it was a good show. Anne, looking forward to seeing you, I believe, on Tuesday, maybe, something like that. Andy Dalcliffe says, many thanks for a brilliant, entertaining show. Dave Baker, happy birthday for the other day. Sorry I didn't get around to clicking on a thing, but great show. Have a good weekend. Yeah, I'll be working mainly in my kitchen this weekend. Enjoyed the show, says Judith Oakley. Thanks very much. The Vobe Show has a request for a podcast. The Vobe Show has had a request. Yeah, well, that's it. I'm going to be doing a podcast for it. Thank you so much for watching. It's been lovely. Thank you very much. Take care, one and all. I'm going to disappear, put some more logs on the fire and have a nice, well-earned cup of tea. I've been speaking like this for an hour with no liquid refreshment, which is no good. Until the next time, thank you. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. All things being well, check the Instagram. Bald Exploring for Instagram. Updating you on where I am and doing my filming and bits and pieces, of course on YouTube and all the other places that you know of me to be. Till the next time, bye for now.